There's no distractions practically. Just got to stay away from your device. Don't even touch it. Only look at it for your time. So you can make it for your Mangalarti, whatever. So today's guna is Rajagun, mode of passion, and is compared to a forest fire. Okay. There's areas that I walked through, especially in Ontario, in the boreal forest. Most of you know what boreal forest is, right? It's the evergreen trees. It's softwood. And they tend to get lit on fire real easy. Anybody who lives in British Columbia knows that, right, Nitai Priya? You know, especially in the summertime, it gets very dry.
Maharaj, right?
Yeah, and it's especially the softwoods, especially when you have a dry period. The trees go up like anything. Now the fire is like compared to the appetite we have sometimes, you know. Like the other day we went to a program, and I'm a sucker for goranga potatoes, right? And I was very passionate about it. I even was cursing the Tuesday night Gita class that we had, you know, because I was running a little bit late, and I just want just a little bit more of the goranga potatoes. So my stomach was like fire, on fire, and so were my lips and my tongue, and everything was just an ecstasy, to be honest with you. And it almost didn't, if I didn't have a stomach, I would have endlessly consumed the goranga potatoes. But the stomach is our friend, because they say, hold on, whoa, you know, it's your best friend. And there's also your best friend, the intelligence, that says, too much, you're going to hurt from this. You're going to get sick from this. You're going to get inflammation. You know, there's so many other things. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night. So there's many friends out there to tell you, don't overdo it, right? So in Rajagun, like the fire within, when you have an appetite and you just want to keep going, it's much like that. It doesn't matter how many trees enter into the stomach of the fire, it just keeps going, you know. And you know, usually, especially in BC, right, Nitai Priya, many of the devotees at Sharanagati, they're trained up to be firefighters because they're living in that area. You know, I walked through an area in Northern Ontario where there was a big fire. I had driven through there, and 10 years later, I walked through it, and I was feeling really bad when I drove through there because it's very devastating when you see everything laid out and there's like ashes and then odd trees standing here and there. But one good thing I saw about it is that ashes, you know, they do something, especially with pine trees. A fire that is exposed to the seeds of the pine cones, they act like popcorn, you know, and they germinate. They go into the ground, and it's fresh ground, fertile ground, and the trees came up. So 10 years after my experience of where there were flames and people were saying they're 20 feet high plus, then I saw that there was a new growth. It was really thick woods, and I hadn't gone up so high yet, but mostly cedars, a lot of cedars, and it was smelling so good. And it was looking good. The color green was so satisfying to look at. But there was a period of passion. And in passion, what happens? The symptoms, there's loss of attachment. There's fruit of results. You're very, very conditioned to wanting results. There's intense endeavor. You work very hard to get those results. And the desire is uncontrollable. Usually there's the velocity or the speed is very fast. And this is prevalent in young people. I don't mean to offend anybody who's young. I got a room full of young guys here, right? Okay. And they can get very passionate, right? They'll move very fast and they like to drive fast cars. fast bicycles, run fast. And then if you ask them, did you notice that rose bush over there? I said, what, where? You know, did you smell the roses? And they'll say, what, where? What are you talking about? I said, well, you're going so fast, you wouldn't notice it. The passion blinds us, you know? And it's not that this guna or quality is necessarily bad. If we didn't have passion, we wouldn't have babies, and babies are necessary. Let's imagine if there wasn't passion and nobody had babies anymore. Can you imagine a world just old people? Oh God, it would be pathetic. Imagine a planet with no more babies. Like it's just there's a moratorium on baby production. You know what would happen? Well, let's see, we would become unenthused. What would be some other symptoms? We would definitely fall into the depths of tamagun, for sure, 100%, because producing children stimulates, and having children excite you. Like you talk anybody who's like a grandpa or a grandma, they want children, and they tell all their kids who are not yet married, get married. And one of the reasons, because we want to have grandchildren, right? It's not selfish, So just imagine a planet without children that make us laugh and come up with new, fresh ideas and so on like that. So passion is important to have in this life. We only have to channel it properly. Even Krishna says in the Gita, I am this passion, I am kama, which is not contrary to dharma. So he's simply saying that let's do it the right way. There's a right way and a wrong way to everything, right? Even let's go back to eating. Some people eat real fast. Some people say, I eat fast. And they say, you got to slow down. Okay, all right, fine. Slow down, right? Digest it, enjoy the food, honor the prasadam. So let's look at if there were no more children, no more young people, we would lose our oomph for building houses, fixing roads. There would just be, it would be a pathetic scenario. So while passion sometimes is painted as bad in our books, we have to understand that passion is necessary and it has its bright side. We wouldn't have beautiful artwork, if it wasn't for passion, right? Just the image of Krishna in the background you see. And then I've got this picture, I've shown it to you before. Peter Hawkins is a master artist, and he did this rendering of Radha Gopinath, which is a watercolor on black paper. Look at how controlled he was in rendering that beautiful masterpiece. He also did this rendering. It's plaster. And it's made to look like some kind of metal. But this sculpture piece is done by him as well. So artists have passion. And if they didn't have passion, you wouldn't get beautiful things in this world. So let's honor it. But all you have to do is dovetail it in Krishna's service. That's all. That's all you have to do. And when passion gets to be too much, you have to get the forest fire guys out there. You have to bring the big hose out. And I've seen it, Nitai Priya, I've seen it. The guys come up with helicopters and they release those water bombs. Have you seen that before? Maybe on television or something, right? Yeah. So, passion needs to be controlled, directed, steered, and then it's okay. And it can be used in Krishna's service. Any comments so far from anybody? We're all on the same page. Is passion good? Yes. When it's used in Krishna's service. Yeah. All right. That's the best. So we move on to the mode of ignorance.
Yes.
Oh, one Prabhu wants to go into the mode of ignorance. Okay. Arpan. Okay. So this is text number 13. Okay. Can we get someone to do the Sanskrit, the English, and one person can read the purport?
Dharma Prabhu, do you want to?
Yeah.
And
So,
Vasanta?
Okay, let's get going.
Yes.
Be passionate.
Hare Krishna.
Aprakanto pravrittischa pramado maho ivacha tamasi yitani jayante vivirdha krutu nandana. Shall I read the translation also?
Please.
Yeah, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested.
Thank you very much. And Vasanta, you're going to read
Hare
the
Krishna
purport?
Maharaj. Yeah. When there is no illumination, knowledge is present. One is in the mode of ignorance. One in the mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called illusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. There are the symptoms of one. These are the symptoms of one in the mode of ignorance.
I think we're all familiar with this mode like the other two. And some of the characteristics are that there is an inertia, there's like laziness. I know someone who wrote a song called Lazy. Okay. And madness, one doesn't think straight. So that's the buddhi or the intelligence tends to not be very operational at that time. It kind of shuts off. It's like a lockdown. Everyone's used that term now. We're from lockdown. When the brain locks down, it means there's lots of tamagun going on. And, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about whimsy. That means that you're not directed necessarily by what's smart, but rather kind of like what you feel. It's more sensual. And like it is mentioned here, one does not care much for regulations. When you regulate your body in terms of eating and bathing and sleeping and all those things, you'll be a great performer, and creative things will come out of you. But when you stay in darkness, there is not that regulation, but whimsy. Sometimes Prabhupada uses the word whimsy to describe demonism. Chapter 16, which we're going to get to, is about divine and demonic nature. And sometimes, like I find the word demonic, it's a little strong. When you're talking to people, you're being a little demonic right now. You don't want to use that word. You're a demon right at this moment. No, you don't want to say that. But if you say you're a bit whimsical at this moment, it hurts less, but the message may get across. Perhaps it's not a word that's fluidly used, but it does get the message across if you go to analyze it and look for its definition. So whimsy is it's something we want to try to avoid. I'll just think in the Ramayana, by Valmiki, we have the story of Surpanaka. And Surpanaka is the sister of Ravana. And she's very, passionate because she lost her husband. Actually, her brother was on sort of a hunting spree, and he accidentally released an arrow and killed his brother-in-law. So now she's without a husband, and she's looking for somebody, So when she's in the Dandaka forest looking around, she set her eyes on Ram, and then she let herself be known. I'm here and you're there, and we can be together, that type of thing. And so he asked, could you introduce yourself, fair lady? I was being a little sarcastic. I said, well, my name is Shurpanaka, and I'm the sister of Ravana, and I'm with an army of 14,000 Rakshasas nearby. But never mind that. I'm just interested in you, right? So then Ram says, but you see, I'm married, and this is my lovely wife, Sita, here. And we're not thinking of changing partnerships. We're dedicated to each other, right? And then he says, just teasing a little bit, he says to her, well, my brother is here, though, Lakshman, and he's young and strong, and he's not yet married. Why don't you consider him? And so immediately she shifted her attention over to him. It was a little bit whimsical, and she said, oh, yeah, okay, all right. Lakshman, let's get it on together, right? And Lakshman said, no, because she had interesting features of like a Rakshasi. Hard to describe that. But you see, I'm just a slave. I'm a slave to my brother. You don't want to marry a slave, right? And so then the two men were sort of teasing with her. She picked up on it. She didn't like it at all. And she kind of blamed, she wanted to put all her angst towards Sita. Said, if I could just get rid of her, I could have both these guys, right? Mm-hmm. So she made an attack, and she went for the jugular vein. And of course, Ram and Lakshman had to react. And Lakshman took out his dagger and then cut off some parts of her body, the ear, and the nose. And, we know, everybody knows Vincent van Gogh. He was not always, I guess he was a little whimsical. Do you know Van Gogh? He's like the world's most famous artist. And his work has been on display. So at one point, he actually cut off his ear, and then he wrapped it up and sent it to his girlfriend, or one of his girlfriends, out of whimsy, let's put it that way. There's a famous painting of him where he had wrapped a cloth around his head, just to conceal the damaged ear. Okay, so anyway, Shurpanaka, we can say she's an example of somebody who's whimsical because, this guy, that guy, etc., etc. So that's my example. Mode of ignorance. We all know what that's about, and like we experience it, and when we get up in the morning, right before Sattvagun, yes. Is it necessary? I'll ask the same question, like I did for passion. And well, yes, it is. I mean, you have to be restful in order to perform. But there's a problem with the overload. If it's too much, then it's very hard to perform. And you get too comfy in your bed, and really there has to be a little fire in you. Yeah, let me get out. Let me go. I got to make some money, and I got to build up my empire. I have to, I have to settle down. I have to have children. That's when the passion kicks in. So it's good to have passion. You have to have a little bit of ignorance in there as well. But ultimately, we want to land in the mode of goodness. We're going to read about that also. So that's a little bit of an explanation about the mode of ignorance. Perhaps you would like to paint the picture, any of you out there, what it means to be in the mode of ignorance. I traveled with the youth bus tour, 10 years, 10 summers in a row. And so we're all sleeping. Half of the bus is for the boys, half of the bus is for the girls. And when they wake up, they look at each other, oh my God. And then there's bad breath and BO and all this stuff. Mode of ignorance, and whatever was attractive a few hours earlier has suddenly lost its appeal. Mode of ignorance is like that. Okay, any comments on mode of ignorance or mode of passion? Take your pick. What's your favorite one?
Maharaj, I have a comment from Bhagavad Gita itself on, it's actually from chapter, I think it's 3.35 or 4.35. It says, it's far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. And then the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, for example, a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness is non-violent, whereas a Kshatriya who is in the mode of passion is allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of non-violence. So he's talking about a Kshatriya who's in the mode of passion.
Right.
And I have a question for you, Maharaj. So
Sure.
recently, there was one famous, it's a political question, because a very senior Indian government official said, Ukraine should stop fighting and start talking to Russia. But I feel like Ukraine is doing its job like Arjuna is doing, because they're defending their homes, their land, and their way of life. So, what is your comment on that, Maharaj?
So you're asking me to give a political answer? This reminds me of when I was walking across America, and I was in the state of Utah, and myself and the devotees, we were sort of rendezvousing my support team in a place, it's called Delta. And there was a lake, and there was this beautiful soft mud, like butter, And we had called the local newspaper, and a woman came around. She was a journalist, and she asked me all the questions about walking. And then she, at the end of her questions, so she was a very nice lady, said, okay, so now, what do you think about our president, Donald Trump? Okay. And I didn't want her to take my opinion, offer my opinion, if she was going to write about it or not. I think it was more of her own, out of own personal interest. But I just answered in such a way that that was, what shall we say, diplomatic. And I said, well, leaders, when they connect with God and follow the laws of God and the laws of nature, they can do a good job, So if he goes on doing that, then, perhaps the world has a chance, or the US has a chance. Anyways, I don't know if that was diplomatic or not. So your question is, so the Kshatriyas should fight when there's a need to fight. Yes, that's the message of the Gita. Krishna's telling Arjuna, let's get out there, let's do what we have to do. Adharma is starting to creep in and take over, and we can't let that happen. So you have to do your job. So I'm not going to directly answer your question, but I'm just going to say, if you can have the enemy, the adversaries, hold off, keep them at bay, then do what you have to do, right? That's what Kshatriyas are for. They have a job, let them do their job. That's really what's coming out of this. Don't step on others' toes, right? Right? The Brahmins may say, oh, peace, brother, I don't think you should fight. But sometimes in order to defend, there's a necessity. What are you defending anyways? Your land, your people, and especially for the guys, you're defending the ladies, and you're defending the children, and the elders, you have a right to do that. So that's how passion is dovetailed and justified. The use of it is justified. Passion. Does that answer the question okay, Prabhu?
That was wonderful, Maharaj. Yeah, thank you so much.
Wow, I didn't think I'd get a comment like that. Wonderful. Okay, that's good. All right. So anybody else have any remarks or questions to talk? We've got Madhava, who plays the flute, by the way. He's got a question.
It's written here about the regulative principles. Is it the four regulative principles we follow?
Yeah, he's asking about in the purport a regulative principle. Yes, he's just a generic term. He's just talking about being regulated in your life, following a routine, which is not being whimsical. Whimsy means you do whatever I feel like doing, you know, and whatever feels good for the moment, you know. But rather than that, follow a regulation, even though it hurts a little bit, it's not easy. But what comes out of it is building of character, right? So yeah, that's, again, we're talking about conquering a mode of ignorance as well and passion, you know, through regulative principles. So, you know, whether it's, you know, any of the principles that we're talking about, no meat, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex life. Yeah, any of those, or any other.
Normal life.
It's just yeah, normal life. What's normal life?
Yeah.
What I'm asking Madhava, what's normal life? Smoking cigarettes,
Normal.
drinking coffee. Everybody that I see outside, they drink coffee. Like devotees are at bead bags and beads. But people outside get to carry a cup of coffee for about 4 hours. Like, is that normal?
Because they're not Krishna conscious, right? It's normal for them.
Yes, to do things that are harmful.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That would be a line that you could draw what's harmful and what's harmless,
Yeah.
right? So when you lead a life of regulation and a life of discipline, then you good products come out of this. You become a productive person. That's right. And of course, everyone's entitled to have a little break from the routine. Like everybody loves the weekend.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Anybody else?
Maharaj, I have a question. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is
You have to accept mine, though. It's conditional.
I'm not. Anyway, give Maharaj, please, all obeisances to you. So, Maharaj, sometimes you say passion is needed for us to propel and gain some momentum in our actions, right? Like, it could also be passion towards chanting or passion towards, you know.
Yes.
Is that okay? Where do we draw the line there, Maharaj?
Well, you have to have, there's a passion or drive, you know, inner drive. You know, this is where the word balance is very convenient, you know. Every day you eat, every day you sleep, every day this and that goes on. It's pretty regulated. But that's for maintenance of the body, right? What are you going to do about the soul, which is what you actually are? You engage in some sadhana. You expose yourself to sadhana, to sangha, to shastra, 3 S's. And then you'll find it's like a spiritual workout for the atma, for the soul. So draw the line. Well, draw the line in the middle if you like. But what we're finding out is that even if there's 24 hours in the day, how many hours does everyone sleep? Can I get a ballpark? Some people are saying 6, some people are saying 8. What else? Depends on who you ask.
It's 7.
7 hours.
7? Okay, we'll draw it in the middle. 7 hours. How many hours do you work or study a day?
8 hours.
8 hours? 8 hours. Does that include the commute back and forth?
10 hours.
No, so it's more like 10 hours.
Yeah,
So you got
10.
17 hours. How much time do you take eating?
That would be like half an
Put 1.
Half an hour, 1 hour, let's say 1 hour for 2 or 3 meals a day. So who's got the mathematics now? 18 hours? So you got 6 hours left. What are you going to do with it? Some of it should be spent in recreation, right? Running, walking, swimming, treadmill, this and that. Okay. So what? 1, 2 hours? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 5 hours, 4 hours left. What are you going to do with that?
2 hours chanting.
2 hours chanting japa? Okay. And then maybe another hour for something else, especially if you're in the Grasta ashram, especially if you have babies and you have to change diapers. You have to have family time, right? So you will find that because your spiritual practices are extremely potent, they're more powerful than your physical output, right? So usually you're going to find the percentage of hours spent in spiritual practices are most likely going to be less than your physical upkeep, your survival practices, right? But it's justified because chanting Hare Krishna is very strong, very powerful. So because spiritual energy has more tejas power than the physical. So that's the way it works. And of course, on the weekend, you might be able to catch up on your spirituality. But if we were talking about drawing lines, at least get some basic established for yourself in your routine, some time spent on your spiritual development every day. Does that answer the question? Okay.
Hare
Hello?
Krishna. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, great. So now I know we're cut short a little bit today. Should we go for the takeaway? Takeaway?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Thank you. Let's honor our great host here, Vaishnavi Barusa. Do you want to go down the line here?
Yes,
And we'll
Maharaj.
ask for the takeaways from what we discussed. Sorry, I talked too much. I didn't hear enough from all of you.
You want
But I
to?
had to make up for the lost 1 month in India. Okay, take
We were
away.
We were happy to hear from you. Oh, can we start from all those nice people sitting there, devotees sitting there?
But do you think they're nice? Do you think they're nice? Or if they're in the mode of goodness, I think they're nice. Okay. Okay, go ahead. So
Of course,
we will.
they're from India, they're nice.
Oh,
Yes.
really? So Canadians are not? Shame on you. Americans? All right. Okay, so why don't we'll start here. Should we do 3, 4 words to give you your takeaway? Explain your takeaway. Would that work? Onkar is first. Speak loud.
Mode of ignorance and passion both have their own place in life.
Passion and ignorance have their place. Madhava.
If there would be no more of passion, then the only start is no righteousness.
Right. If there's no mode of passion, no drive, we won't have Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, the little ones, little guys. Hare Krishna. That's a great realization. Okay, Madhava number 2 or number 1, whichever you guys work it out.
So I think mode of ignorance is also should be there. If mode of passion is important, both
Yes.
have their equal importance
Yes.
because you get to know like what exactly when is to need, right? So everything has its own time.
Okay, great. So Madhava is saying here that ignorance is also necessary. He's talking about sleep, I think, mostly. So yeah, it is true. It's very true. But you sleep for Krishna. That's the main thing. Sleep for Krishna. That's how we dovetail it. Arpan?
I think was my alarm for the past. So yeah, the passion is also important, but if it is used in devotional purposes only, like,
Passion is important
yeah,
as long as it's for Krishna.
along with discipline.
Okay, great. Thank you again for all of you. And we got Gabriel, he popped in here 7 minutes ago.
Hare Krishna, I came a little bit late, but take away that I was
Here's the mode of ignorance.
regulated life.
Live a regulated life. Very good. All of these conclusions were just right on. Thank you. Now, Vaishnavi, can you get other people on board to say what they need to say?
Dharma Prabhu?
So,
How do we-
yeah, I take after rest, you feel fresh. So that is after ignorance, you get in a mode of goodness.
Okay, yeah. Maybe you didn't think about that, but it's very true. You know, after ignorance, you slide into, you just make a few adjustments, take a few steps, and you slide right into the mode of goodness, right? Probably the highlight of the day, right? Some time of optimism. How do we get to see other people?
Arjuna?
Yeah.
Arjuna?
Okay.
Arjuna, your mic is on.
Oh, we have Markandale all the way from Argentina. He's on board. Wow.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, Prabhus. We have to go through this quickly.
Gunam?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Rajo Guna never satisfied.
What was that?
Rajoguna
never satisfied.
Rajagun is never satisfied. Yep. Mark that. Yes, good.
Hari Pasha? Hari
Just what you said, Maharaj, make time every day for the 3 S's, sadhana, sangha, and shastra.
Mhm. Nice. Good.
Markandeya Prabhu?
Yes, Hare Krishna. I don't know if I understand the point, but for me, for grihastas, for example, my point of view is that we have to obtain a balance of passion and goodness.
Passion and goodness, especially. Very good. Nice. Thank you.
Sandamini?
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Guru
Hare
Maharaj.
Balance, Maharaj. I mean, balance between passion, ignorance, and goodness. Everything needs balance.
Balance. Such an important word. Yes. Good, good.
Vasanta?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have an observation to make rather than take away about what you said about children. Presence of children in this world is so important. Without children, how can Atmas be reborn? And we need to be reborn to, learn or work towards our moksha. So I think Rajogun is very important.
Mhm. Very good. Thank you. Good realization. Next, everyone try to be a little short, 3, 4 words you were allowed.
Somehow Arjuna cannot speak. Anant Sesha, and then Jenny, Nitai.
Yes. Although Rajogun and Tamogun have a negative connotation, they are still good if they're used in Krishna service.
Nice way to put it. Yep. Good, good. Next.
Nitai Priya, can you speak?
Yes, spiritual time every day.
Spiritual time every day. Haribol. He's one of my secretaries. Okay.
One is done, except so yeah, Tamogun and passion, they have a place and should be used in proper way.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. And I think Arjuna put a message down at the bottom. I don't have it right now, but if someone could repeat it.
It says modes of gunas are great when you use in Krishna's service.
Yes.
That's by
Thank you. Good, good.
And that's all, Maharaj. Everyone is
That's
done.
it. That's everyone. Oh, we want to thank you all very much for your comments. It's really appreciated. I hope it was enlivening for you, that we got something out of this. Okay. So at this point, I think we'll offer respects to each other. Vanja kalpatarubhyascha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
The recording has stopped.
You have to stand in front of the window so we get the silhouette effect. Okay. The arms up. No, in front of the window. In front of the window. Yeah, each in front of each other. Haribo. See, they like that. Thank you, Bruce.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.